Today I'm going to provide a summary of a 2022 action-packed movie named Seized.
But before we start, please support our channel by subscribing and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start.
The story commences in a home located on the northwest coastline of Mexico, where Richard and his son, Taylor, sit down to have breakfast. While Richard was preparing a meal for his son, he asked him whether he had finished his homework. Taylor didn't respond and resumed eating his breakfast. Since his mother passed away a few months ago, Taylor has been behaving rebelliously and communicating less with his father. The relationship between Richard and Taylor was not particularly close. Taylor continued to hold a grudge against his father and blame him for his mother's death. As a single parent, Richard did his best to provide his son with love and attention. After having breakfast, Taylor asked Richard for pocket money and got ready for school. Once he left, Richard received a call from the school reporting that Taylor had hit other kids. Richard was instructed to warn him against repeating such behavior, since he had been involved in school violence for the last few months. Later in the day, Taylor returned home and Richard, who had just finished his carpentry work, attempted to talk to him about the issue of school. However, Taylor repeatedly avoided the conversation and refused to discuss the matter. Richard advised him not to resort to violence, but Taylor ignored his advice. Before retreating to his room, Taylor justified his actions by claiming that he had to fight the other boys since they had insulted his mother and called him an orphan. Hearing Taylor's explanation, Richard felt responsible for what had happened and assured him that he would strive to be a good father. Taylor practiced martial arts in his room, learning from a tutorial video. Later, Richard asked him to complete his homework as his teacher had repeatedly called him about it. Richard went back to working as a programmer after leaving his position as a skilled intelligence agent and computer expert with the national agency. He had a reputation for effectively capturing hardened criminals in Mexico before resigning from the intelligence agency. One day, while focused on his work, Richard was suddenly shot with a tranquilizer rifle from afar, causing him to lose consciousness. When he woke up the following night, he received a phone call from an enigmatic man named Nero, a stranger who claimed to know about Richard's past when he was called the Killing Machine, revealed that he had abducted Taylor. The stranger referred to Richard as Nero, which was his code name during his time as an agent who captured criminals. The stranger then showed Nero a video of his son being held captive in a room, and demanded that Nero complete a mission if he wished to save Taylor from being killed by poisonous gas. With no other options, Nero reluctantly agreed to carry out the task as instructed by the mysterious man, who provided him with weapons and ammunition, as well as a live action of Nero's actions through a camera. The mission assigned to Nero was to eliminate 2 drug cartels. The mysterious man who kidnapped Taylor set up a bulletproof SUV with GPS to guide Nero to the location. During the ride, Nero managed to communicate with his son and assure him that everything would be all right. However, the mystery man informed Nero that he could only guarantee Taylor's safety if Nero followed his instructions. After arriving in a hotel, the mystery man ordered Nero to eliminate the Rosa and Garza cartels. The focus shifts to the person who abducted Taylor, who was identified as the leader of a drug trafficking organization called Mazamo. His goal was to eliminate his competitors, the Rosa and Garza cartels, to take over the drug trafficking network in Mexico. He took Nero's son to use Nero's expertise to kill his rivals without getting his hands dirty. He instructed Nero to go to a hotel and eliminate all members of the Rosa and Garza cartels. Nero had to face numerous armed men, but he was able to defeat them. After killing the cartel members in the main room, Nero searched the other rooms to eliminate the remaining members. The fight was intense, but he managed to eliminate everyone in the building. After successfully completing the first mission, Nero rushed into the car and left before the police arrived. However, Mazamo was not yet satisfied with Nero's job and sent him to another location to execute a similar task. Mazamo seemed to take pleasure in watching the action unfold through a camera with his associates and wife, Alanza. Meanwhile, Donovan, one of Mazamo's cartel partners, approached him and inquired about the success of their plan. To Mazamo's surprise, Donovan was the one who initially suggested the idea of using Nero to accomplish their goals. As for Nero, he arrived at the second location and proceeded to eliminate another drug cartel led by Eleazar Machado. At a bar, Nero was instructed to eliminate all the members of the cartel who were meeting on the 3rd floor. With his weapons, Nero took down all the members. and then proceeded to a room where Eleazar was entertaining a woman. Nero killed Eleazar in front of Mazzamo and his associates. After completing the task, Nero requested to talk to his son and apologized to him for putting him in a dangerous situation. Nero revealed to Taylor that he used to be part of a special force that dealt with criminal groups, and that Taylor's mother was killed because Nero's partner had betrayed him and revealed his identity to the criminals. Taylor apologized for not knowing the truth and blaming his father. The call ended shortly after. Later, Mazzamo talked to Taylor and gave him a sandwich. The next day, Nero arrived at the location of the other cartel headquarters after a long journey. On the other hand, Donovan returned to Mazzamo to warn him of the potential danger that Nero posed to their organization. He feared that Nero would come after them once he completed the task. Mazzamo assured Donovan that he had nothing to worry about since Nero's son was still in their custody, and Nero would not risk his life by attacking them. While this was happening, Taylor attempted to escape from his captors by cutting the adhesive rope with a metal blade. After freeing himself, Taylor attempted to leave the location where he was held captive. Meanwhile, Mazzamo and his associates continued to watch Nero complete his mission on a live camera feed, and they even encouraged him to do well by cheering him on. At the same time, Griego, the leader of a major Mexican drug cartel, was informed by his associates that multiple cartels had been massacred by an unknown attacker. Griego instructed his men to be on high alert, as their cartel could be the next target. Meanwhile, Taylor, having freed himself, attempted to pry open the door with a piece of wood. Nero, having received new coordinates from Mazzamo, arrived at the Griego cartel and launched a full-scale attack with rifles and grenades. He methodically eliminated the cartel members one by one, but was ultimately shot by Griego, who turned off his camera feed. Mazzamo was disappointed at Nero's death, but satisfied that his rivals had been taken down. Donovan was relieved that someone who posed a threat to him was eliminated. However, Mazzamo decided to honor Nero, who had fought alone against many enemies, by sending his men to attack Griego's base and avenge Nero's death. Unbeknownst to them, the real Nero was still alive and being interrogated by Griego and his men. Griego demanded to know who sent Nero and ordered him to attack their cartel. Nero explained that he had no choice, as the person who had contacted him had kidnapped his son. Nero revealed that he had to complete the mission assigned to him in order to get his son back, but he didn't know the identity of the person who had kidnapped his son and forced him to carry out the attacks. The mastermind behind the plan always emphasized trust, and Nero began to suspect that it was Mazzamo, the powerful drug cartel leader who had been his target all along. Griego, who had captured Nero, realized this as well and confirmed Mazzamo's involvement. Nero asked Griego about Mazzamo's location, but Griego had no intention of letting him go and attempted to execute him. Fortunately, just before Griego was about to shoot Nero, members of the Mazzamo cartel arrived and caused chaos at Griego's base. This gave Nero an opportunity to fight, free himself from the handcuffs, and escape. Nero was able to defeat Griego's men and ultimately killed Griego himself. He quickly grabbed Griego's laptop and car keys from his room, hoping to prevent Mazzamo from tracking him down. However, Donovan was still anxious about Nero's son, who was being held captive. He wanted to kill the boy before it was too late. Initially, Mazzamo refused to give Donovan the key to the location where Taylor was being held. After being threatened by Donovan, Mazzamo eventually gave him the car key. In the meantime, Nero used the laptop he had taken to locate Mazzamo's base and headed there to rescue his son. Meanwhile, Donovan and his men went to the garage where Taylor was being held and pumped poisonous gas into the car. Donovan and his men wore gas masks to protect themselves and opened the car door to make sure that Taylor was dead. Unexpectedly, Taylor was not in the car when Donovan opened it, and he assumed that Nero had already taken him. As Nero arrived at Mazzamo's house and climbed over the back gate, Donovan instructed his men to wait and informed Mazzamo that Nero had taken Taylor. Mazzamo revealed that he himself had hidden Taylor, as he was strongly against violence and harm towards children, and feared Donovan would kill the boy if anything went wrong. Despite being a powerful leader in the Mexican drug cartel, Mazzamo's beliefs prevented him from harming innocent children. In the midst of the dispute, Nero suddenly appears and points a firearm at Donovan. It is revealed that Donovan is actually a former intelligence agent who used to work with Nero. He betrayed Nero and killed Nero's wife. Overwhelmed by the betrayals, Nero shoots Donovan and his associates. There was a fierce exchange of gunfire between them. However, Mazzamo helps Nero take down Donovan's men. When all the ammo is used up, Nero is forced to fight one of Donovan's men in hand-to-hand combat. After incapacitating everyone, Nero aims a gun at Mazzamo and demands that he release Taylor. Mazzamo instructed Alanza to release Taylor from the secret room, which brought immense relief to Nero. Despite the deceitful actions that Mazzamo had committed, Nero initially planned to execute him in front of his wife. However, he changed his mind after Mazzamo warned that killing him would only perpetuate a never-ending cycle of revenge. Mazzamo explained that if Nero were to kill him, then his brother would seek revenge, thus creating an endless cycle of retribution. On the other hand, if Nero lets him live, Mazzamo will ensure his and his family's safety, as Mazzamo is the only major drug cartel group still operating in Mexico. Nero decided to let Mazzamo live in order to protect his son as well, since he believed Mazzamo could keep his promise. The film concludes with Nero riding a Harley motorcycle. Mazzamo gave him back home with Taylor. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, and if you didn't, please hit the dislike button twice. It would be best if you watched the entire film. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this.